Being a DC Comics fan in 2023 has been a very difficult experience. Obviously, I'm more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. I definitely have admitted that over the years, and there are some good things coming out from DC Comics. Namely, I would say Get Green Lantern. Beast World is surprisingly good, but they make so many stories and they make so many decisions regarding what they're going to deliver to customers that you can tell DC Comics don't really take this stuff seriously. I don't think Jim Lee and company realize just how much trouble not only they are in as a publisher, but the entire industry is in right now regarding the content that is coming out. We've had so much outcry and widespread, discussion about what's ailing comic books just this past 2 weeks or so. So many people have pulled the knives out and started driving into people's backs. It's absolutely insane. And the one big thing people have been talking about, there aren't a whole lot of quality stories from DC or Marvel. That's one thing that almost everybody across the board can agree on. Now, why that's happening or what exactly the problem is, we do get disagreements on that one. And you know why I don't think DC Comics are as good as they should be? Because they don't hire enough actual writers or good writers to actually write their comic books. The best example, coming off the heels of what Glenn from Comic Book Palace said, hey, there are too many writers who want to write themselves in the stories rather than the heroes. And Mark Waid going out there and saying, give me one example. None of it exists of people, putting these things into comic books. This week, we got the announcement of the new Suicide Squad book starring Dreamer, written by Nicole Maines. And I couldn't help but chuckle and say, hey, Mark, I've been talking about this for 6 years and pointing out so many examples. It's not even funny. But here's another example for you, Mark, that this is, in fact, a very real problem. After teasing the return of the Suicide Squad in 2024, DC Comics has officially announced the brand new creative team and roster for the DC Universe's infamous Task Force X. Rising star Dreamer joins Amanda Waller's ranks in Suicide Squad Dream Team this March, along with Harley Quinn, Bizarro, and other surprise recruits. Set to be released on March 12, 2024, written by Nicole Maines and drawn by Eddie Barrows and Eber Ferreira. The book will star DC's precog and dream-walking hero Dreamer, who is being recruited by Amanda Waller for the latest iteration of her classic Suicide Squad team. So there we go. We get another book that's supposed to be a big deal. It is Suicide Squad, not an A-list title, but certainly a title that can have legs if you have a good creative team on it and you have a good team backing that creator up. Once again, DC Comics are going out there and hiring not a comic book writer. Now, this isn't just solely a DC Comics problem. We just had Iman Vellani writing a Miss Marvel story. Why? Because Iman Vellani portrays Miss Marvel on Disney Plus. Those are literally her bona fides for it. What are Nicole Maines' bona fides for writing Suicide Squad Dream Team? She portrayed Dreamer on the Supergirl TV show that was canceled because no one was watching it. This is a hero that no one has really even bought into, but do not hold that against Screen Rant because they were very excited about this. Amanda Waller is already a clear and present threat in the DC universe, especially as she takes advantage of the chaos sown after the aftermath of both Dark Crisis and Beast World. So it comes as no surprise that she is a member of the Trinity of Evil that will overtake the DCU in 2024. Dreamer, meanwhile, has slowly become more and more of a major presence among the superheroes of Earth. Originally depicted by Maines in the CW television program Supergirl, Dreamer made her DC debut in Superman Son of Kal-El. Nia Nal has had significant roles in events like Lazarus Planet and Beast World, leading to her to be targeted by none other than Amanda Waller. So this is a character that debuted in a show that died not there long after it, and also debuted in comic books on a series that died 5 issues after the debut of the character. And precogs, just on basic principle, don't make a whole lot of sense in the DC or Marvel universe. It's very hard to make it work because there are so many things happening, not only with whatever character they're associated with or whatever team they're associated with, but just on a whole where you have characters dying left and right, you have cataclysmic threats happening left and right. Like, where were you on that one, asshole? Why didn't you see that one kind of thing? So precogs are, generally speaking, hard to pull off in comic books and actually make sense when they see one thing, but they don't see all the other things that are obviously happening within the universe. But then the idea, the concept that this character is picking up steam when they debuted in Superman Son of Kal-El that was absolutely killed off. And then they have major presence in Lazarus Planet and Beast World. Now, I only read a couple of Lazarus Planet comic books. So I read the very first issue that wasn't that bad. And then there was a bunch of anthology books that were really, really bad. And after 1 or 2, I realized I was not going to go back to Lazarus Planet. I don't remember Dreamer being a big part of that. If you were to tell me that Dreamer was and saved the day in the end, I would have to believe you because I didn't finish the damn thing. That's how bad the quality was in that event. But I am reading Beast World. I read Titans Beast World #1 and I read Titans Beast World #2, and I'm actually very, very impressed with that series. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and tip of the cap to Tom Taylor, who's actually doing something good. I didn't think he had it left in him anymore as far as a comic book writer, but he's doing a pretty cool event. And I haven't seen Dreamer. Was she in there? If she was, what did she do? I haven't seen the character in Beast World. Are we talking about like one of the short stories in the fucking anthology books that no one's reading? There aren't even any real reviews on those books because no one's paying attention. This isn't a character that's being debuted bigger and bigger and bigger and has a bigger hand in anything. I would estimate, about 80% of all DC comics that are released in a given week. There are a few series that I've absolutely given up on, and I'm just not going back to them. And I can tell you, reading that much, I don't remember the last time I saw Dreamer. Actually, I do. It was in Superman Son of Kal-El #14, I guess. I believe that was the issue, or the last time that I saw the character and recognized her having a presence in the story. So this idea that the character's picking up steam and people are attaching themselves to the character's not in fucking DC Comics, but apparently will become a bigger deal in 2024 during the Trinity of Evil. Why do you say that? Beyond the thrill of Dreamer's rising star, these are Screen Rant's words, not mine. It is genuinely exciting to see a trans character written by a vocal trans woman lead a Suicide Squad title. Suicide Squad Dream Team marks an exciting turn for DC's violent and chaotic Task Force X, with unexpected characters like Bizarro, Clock King, and Black Alice. The Suicide Squad roster includes not only a unique set of powers, but also a unique set of personalities with a huge range of morality to them. I'm going to say this. You did not sell me on the book right there. Like, that's not even a compelling team. There's one reason to buy the book, and that's Harley Quinn. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this. I've certainly noticed this. Harley Quinn hasn't been a draw at DC Comics in about 24 months, ever since they started putting the worst writers imaginable on them and then leaving them there. First, we had Stephanie Phillips park her ass on it and absolutely destroy the character. And now we've had Tini Howard on the character for, I believe, over a year now, or almost a year, and destroying the character there. There's no interest actually in Harley Quinn now. And even if it was Suicide Squad, Harley Dream Team, it wouldn't be a big seller then. But actually having Dreamer, a character no one cares about, being written by a person that doesn't know how to write comic books as the starring person in the book, this thing is guaranteed to fail. They're calling it an ongoing. I went and I made sure and looked into it. I'm like, why are we calling this an ongoing? There's no fucking way that Suicide Squad Dream Team has the legs to get past 6 issues max. It'll likely be canceled after the second or third issue is actually solicited, and then they finally see all the sales or the orders. There probably won't be a whole lot of sales associated with it on the very first issue when you get all the stupid variant schemes and all the extra covers and stuff like that. There is no interest in a comic book character like Dreamer, not because the character's trans, but the character isn't all that interesting, was introduced in a dead TV show, was revitalized in a dead comic book, and hasn't been really featured anywhere where people are actually reading DC Comics, and now is attached to somebody that's not a comic book writer. It's already hard enough for these retailers to sell somebody to go out there and put a new ongoing series onto their pull box because the quality out there is so suspect these days. And I do feel terrible for Eddie Barrows, the artist, because he's absolutely phenomenal and he deserves a better fate. But actually having to go out there and explain to your customer, no, there's not a comic book writer on this. The actual lady from Supergirl who portrayed Dreamer in the TV show is the one that's going to be writing the new Suicide Squad. And then they go, who the fuck is Dreamer? I didn't actually watch Supergirl because it wasn't a very good show. Well, that's a good question. She's written some backup stories in Action Comics. You don't know who she's like? No one knows who this is. It is hard enough to sell people on comic books these days without putting all these obstacles out there. But DC do not take their line seriously. Nobody associated with DC these days, and that's probably overstating. Maybe there is a couple of people out there that go out of their way to hire the most competent people possible, but they just go out there and they just grab everybody that has no talent and no business even writing these comic books, and then they just put him on a fucking Suicide Squad book so we can go out there and fail once again and prove Glenn right and fucking Mark Waid wrong again. Waller, of course, is one of the DCU's most manipulative characters, and her intelligence, even if it's often used cruelly, means this team has been put together for a very specific reason. It's yet unclear what Waller specifically wants, but one thing is certain: she has a plan, and it will mean nothing good for the Titans and the disbanded Justice League. But with a roster this fresh, with this exciting new characters like Dreamer at the helm, Suicide Squad Dream Team will hopefully attract new readers while pleasing stalwart fans of the team. Task Force X never fails to make a big chaotic splash in the DCU. It's only a matter of time before Waller reveals that she's playing for Dreamer and her new teammates on the Suicide Squad. My goodness, I wonder why nobody trusts Screen Rant anymore. That was full of so much bullshit. And I'll be honest, I'm fucking wallered out. Like, I was wallered out before we got to the end of 2023. That character is everywhere. I was just reading Green Arrow, and next thing you know, fucking Waller is there, not only with Peacemaker, but another Peacemaker, like Peacekeeper, I don't know, a female version of John Cena. I was like, why does this character show up in every fucking book? And apparently, it's only going to be about 50 billion times worse in 2024 because she's one of the Trinity of Evil. Even though Beast World is good and her part of Beast World kind of makes sense to a degree. But I've had enough of that character. I've definitely had enough of fucking Peacemaker. And I've definitely had enough of DC Comics not hiring comic book writers to write their comic books. I wonder why there's a quality issue. I'm tired of DC Comics going out of their way to like shoehorn in characters that aren't over, probably won't be over because you haven't put a real writer on the character, and now they're leading like a fucking Suicide Squad book and acting like it's going to be an ongoing series. DC Comics needs to start taking their heroes seriously. They need to start taking their customers seriously. They need to start taking the retailers seriously, and they need to start hiring people that know how to write comic books. They need to start featuring heroes that people actually want to pay to read about, because that is not happening across the board. There's so much bad stuff out there. There are a few titles out there, at least at DC Comics, that can keep you hopeful for the future. It's much better than Marvel. Marvel has almost nothing at the top. They just got everything is mid, but DC's got a few things at the top and so much crap at the bottom just weighing them down. It's not even funny. And I can see why people are frustrated. I understand why retailers are mad because of shit like this. And if you want to avoid this kind of crap, I've got great news for you. Every single Thursday on the Patreon, Jim from Weird Science and myself sit down and we talk about all the major releases that week. We don't just talk about the good stuff. We don't just talk about the bad stuff. We talk about all the stuff. We include all the stuff in the middle that's just kind of like, well, I could take it or leave it. It's not great. It's not terrible either. And we cover all that stuff. If you want the 411 on the stuff you want to avoid and perhaps some of the gems that you want to get early on in your comic book reading week, definitely go check out the Patreon and see what we have to offer, because I do believe you are going to love the Hot or Not show with Jim. And we do a fun thing at the end where we talk about being dads, and it's a whole lot of good times. There's a link in the video description on that one.